looked nominal. Rotation rate, pitch angle. The takeoff was performed at maximum engine power. That's the takeoff power setting, maximum takeoff power setting. So being at relatively lightweight, it got airborne fairly early, and the climb out looked very nice.
So what is the approximate speed at takeoff when it takes off the ground?
It's probably doing around about 140 knots at rotation today. I think we're going to see here the takeoff from different angles. And bear in mind, this was a takeoff at full power page, so you mentioned earlier on that it was very quiet. Well, in the normal line operations where they're derating the takeoff, it's going to be even quieter than we saw it today. So very impressive for the start of this program.
Now, one thing, Frank, that we notice on the aircraft is that there's a curvature of the wing tips. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's part of the aerodynamic design of the wings. It's very important that we minimize drag for the fuel efficiency of this aircraft. And over the years, many concepts have evolved. And as we've moved to a composite wing now, we've optimized the wingtip design to minimize drag. That's primarily the reason for that very interesting and very artistic shape that we see today on the 350.
Now, you just mentioned the fact that it's in composite. I believe it's 53% composite material. In terms of handling, as a pilot, do you feel the fact that it's composite? Is there any changes?
It really depends on the way the aircraft is designed. Some composite structures can be more stiff and rigid than the metallic structures, but that's not always the case, and it really depends very much on the design of the wing itself. I suspect our engineers are clever enough to design a wing which gives the passengers a very comfortable ride and really doesn't affect the handling that much from the piloting perspective.
Frank, what are some of the other innovative features that we see on the A350?
Well, obviously the aerodynamic design is probably the first thing, with those very distinctive winglets. Rolls-Royce have gone a long way, obviously, with their engine design, and we know from our 380 experience that the noise levels on these modern aircraft is way lower than it has been in the past. So much better for the local environment around the airports in which it will operate. Obviously, structurally, because the structure is lighter, the aeroplane is more fuel efficient, and that's probably the biggest impact for our customers, of course, because it affects their bottom line in such a way. The price of fuel is so high that it's a very big part of their bottom line, the fuel cost. And if we can reduce their fuel usage, then we increase their profit at the end of the day.
Of course, of course. Now, Frank, earlier you were just mentioning Aircraft Zero. Can you tell us, obviously the flight crew has gone through a lot of preparation in order to be ready for today's first flight. What are some of the simulations that they do in order to be prepared?
Well, not only do we simulate the first flight profile itself, but as I mentioned earlier on, one of the important aspects is to go through all the potential failure modes of the different systems so that we know where we stand should one of the systems go down during the first flight. The first flight being a complete flight of adventure because nobody's ever been there before, from start to finish. We need to make sure that we can cater for all eventualities.
So June 14th, today, first takeoff, first maiden flight. When can we expect the second flight?
Well, typically the aeroplane will, after its landing, will be taken away and given a thorough inspection. We want to go through it in fine detail to make sure there are no issues. Normally, it would probably take around about 2 to 3 working days to do this before we go for the second flight.
Having another look here at the takeoff.